I have participated in a tournament of a 240 player gauntlet in Mario Kart World's new knockout mode. This was the first competitive knockout tourney so far, but definitely not the last. There are many more to come, so let me take you with me as we enter this roller coaster of emotions, skill, luck, and even some nightmares. But first of all, if you're not aware of competitive knockout or the new KO mode as a whole, here's a quick explanation. We've got 24 players per room to match up against in a knockout tour, which consists of 6 separate sections. If you drive through a checkpoint at the end of a section, you will make it to the next section. However, don't be in the bottom 4 spot or else you will be eliminated from the competition, getting knocked out. It will become progressively harder from section to section to move on and stay on track as more and more people are getting eliminated. After the last checkpoint, the final 4 are battling for victory. Whoever crosses the finish line first wins. Afterwards, you will be rewarded points for your overall performance in a knockout tour. The better you place, the more points will be earned. Per round, we played 3 rallies during the early rounds and 5 for the semi-finals and grand finals. Adding up all the points from each rally will make your total score. Whoever reaches the advanced condition of set amount of players will move on to the next round. Now, let's get started with round 1. Enjoy! But please make sure to support me first by smashing those like and subscribe buttons. Seriously, it helps out a ton and will guarantee you even more crazy Mario Kart World videos in the future. Okay, let's move on with the tournament now. For the first round, we have 3 rallies. Yup, in the bottom left corner, I give you some extra information on how many rallies there totally are and which we are currently on, just to make this a little easier to keep track on. And for the first section, I decide to show you the entire thing. A knockout tournament lasts about 10 minutes per round, where a section is about 1 to 2 minutes long. It depends because there are some shorter and some longer ones. This one is a little shorter one and you don't really want to see the whole thing over and over. Thus, I decide to just show you the highlights from after this section on, which is mostly just the ending, because the ending is the most interesting thing to see. Will I make it through? Will I get punished? Will I get owned? What is going to happen? Can I make it through? Or will I get eliminated? For the first section, you can see it's not even close. We are making it through, guaranteed, even with the shock pushing us a little further back. For the second section, there isn't much going on either. I'll just back a little bit, get my golden and mega out and make it through no problem. Well, of course, I mean, you really want to be in the middle into the back to get some major items to make a good comeback, but don't overback because otherwise you can get punished really easily. In general, the less people there are, the harder it is to advance, which makes sense because there are less people that can get eliminated, so a lower percentage of players. Now with the final 8 means this is the last section where people are getting eliminated before we are getting to the final 4 who are battling for the top 4 spots. And the top 4 spots are the spots where you get the most points at, where, yep, you almost get inflation of points. Unfortunately, I was barely not enough for me to finish in the top 4, thus getting 5th place. Still, this is really good overall. And we can just move on with rally number 2. It is really important to stay consistent, not to get knocked out early on. So if you're placing consistently in the higher spots, so in the top half, in the top 12, you will most guaranteed move on, especially with 14 total players moving on for the beginning round. Now, where you also have for round 1 people who are maybe not that experienced with the game or this game mode knockout in particular. so it is getting harder and harder from round to round as well, obviously. So it is much different from racing as well. Knockout, you see a lot of straight lines, what the biggest problem is for most people, which is fair. Knockout has a lot of those straight lines. Still, there is some strategy to it, and we will come to it shortly. First of all though, rally number 2. Can I make it to Final 4? We're getting redded, I get a boo, I get a horn, but nothing to really speed up too much, and unfortunately, no, it is not going to be enough for me to make it to the top 4. Instead, I get knocked out again for the top 8, this time getting 7th place. So, like I said, staying consistent is everything that's required, especially during the beginning. So after the first 2 rallies, I'm already most likely guaranteed to move on. And this ending there was really close. I also hit the finish line, which was, well, not really the best thing to do. Either way, the game mode, for me personally, I don't like to be in first place, because you will have about 4 blue shells probably per knockout tour. Almost guaranteed, honestly. You get about almost 1 blue shell per section. So 4 to 5 blue shells for the whole knockout tour is devastating. So I often don't want to break into first place unless I really have some mushrooms to dodge the blue shells, or another kind of dodge item like a boo, star, or whatever else works to dodge a blue shell, or potentially even a shock. Otherwise, you won't often see me breaking the top spots unless it's like about the final 12, or more likely during the final 8, because the blue shells are way less likely to appear. And here for the 3rd rally, I again make it to the top 8. Can I make it to top 4? It's really close, and unfortunately, especially due to the shock and stuff, I again was just barely not able to make it to the top 4. However, like I said, it's about staying consistent, and I made it always to the top 8, making me top 4 of the whole thing of round 1. Moving over to round 2. Round 2. Now we have everything reset, so we're starting from a fresh point system. Everyone starting with 0 points again, so we're completely reset. Nothing that earlier happened matters anymore. So let's perform on round 2 on rally 1. Here, especially for this little tour, this section here, I was staying in the back where I didn't got affected by the shock because I was behind the person who used the shock. Afterwards, I used my bullet bill to break into the higher half of the room to easily proceed through the second section of this tour. And yep, so often my strategy really is staying in the mid to higher positions, but not really often in first place, because I really don't want to get ruined. It's so easy to get just blued once and then comboed to hell afterwards, getting knocked out just in front of the finish line because you get blue shells. This really often happens to me, therefore I'm playing way more passive, where I stay really in the top spots like 2nd or 3rd, but don't really want to break into first unless I'm really safe to get there. Yet again, for rally number 1 and round number 2, I made it to the top 8, but again, I just cannot break through. I am not getting to the top 4, but here we have top 12 at once and with 6th place. There's nothing wrong, honestly. So let's see how we can do for rally number 2 and rally number 3. The strategy also is for knockout tour specifically, because there are a lot of straight lines, you can draft people way more easily. So you really want to aim for those drafts rather often to get a higher spot. Some people are maybe not that cautious about you, so you can more easily draft people, or especially with more straight lines and less turns, it's easier to get those drafts too. We again made it to the top 12, which is great, and here I got a lucky star with which I also ended up dodging, which is crazy. Though a lot of other people also dodged, so it didn't do too much. However, it basically guaranteed me to proceed to the next section, unless something stupid is going to happen. But there is nothing going to happen, so I can make it easily through the top 8 again. I said it, it's all about consistency, baby. You just need to stay consistent, and especially during the early rounds, this is true, because you just need to aim for a specific spot. You don't necessarily get to get first. And here, I also made it for the first time to the top 4. Unfortunately, I tried to back the Yoshi. It didn't work out for some reason, and instead he ratted me out. And, well, we killed each other, so no one of us is going to win this whole thing. We just hit each other over and over, making us getting 3-4 out of this. But still, I can't complain. With a 6th and 3rd place, this is going to be almost more than enough to proceed to the next round already, because keep in mind, we just need to get top 12. Let's see what we can do, because clearly we are not getting knocked out right away. You just need to be cautious not to get knocked out right away. Often you can really work around it to be more clear. It's more hard to get knocked out during the first 4 than making it through the first section. I'll be honest with you, if you play your cards right. Sometimes, of course, you can't do anything about it. Sometimes you just get Mario Karted, or all the odds are against you. But most of the time, I don't think you will get knocked out during the first section. I mean, someone has to be affected by it, of course. And if there are a lot of good players, even then, some 4 people will get eliminated. But the odds are clearly in your favor, most of the time, of course. And yet again, I make it to the top 8. I really was really consistent, especially during the first 2 rounds. It seems like getting clearly all the time into the top 8. And even here, just barely clutching out 4th place here, which is crazy. I again made it into the top 4, but unfortunately getting hit by a red shell here, making me have to use a mushroom, and this blue shell was really unlucky. I didn't saw it in time, or unfortunately wasn't able to dodge it therefore, and even ended up getting 4th place. I could have gotten 2nd place there, but I mean, 2nd place overall, that's not too bad, making us advance to the semi-finals. But now it's getting interesting, because now there are a lot of more experienced people, because all of them have advanced through first rounds and want to win this. And we now just have 1/3 of people advancing, just 8 people. And this first section already was insanely close. I said you don't really often get knocked out during the beginning, but it can happen. Seriously. You just shouldn't. Because if it happens, you will feel really bad. Especially because you lose out of a lot of points. And you lose a lot of time too, honestly. I said those knockout tours last about 10 minutes. And if you get knocked out during the first 1 to 2 minutes, you have to wait about 8 minutes, which is rough. But still, I made it to the top 12. And also easily make it to the top 8 here. It's all about consistency, baby. And we have 5 rallies total for the semifinals, like I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to combo this peach, and I got the boomerang, and the boomerang is probably one of the worst items, because if you throw it, it's still in your inventory unless you've used it 3 to 4 times, depending on how quickly you used it. With the boomerang especially, I unfortunately wasn't able to finish in the top 4, making me getting 7th place. I mean, it's about consistency, right? So if we can keep up this consistency, we again should be able to proceed. So let's see if I can pull up and get me together and keep up this consistency. People are obviously more aggressive because people want to move on, and it's just 8 people. 7th place isn't really a guaranteed spot, and this shock is brutal. I was looking back because I thought about breaking out and grabbing those double item boxes, but I saw so much more track as being left, so I thought there has to be at least one more set of items, right? But unfortunately, there just wasn't any more items, and I ended up finishing in 20th place, which is insanely rough, pushing me back into 13th place, which is not really ideal. So I need to keep it together again and grab some more points, getting more consistent again. But I have to say, I got 7 knockout tours in a row into the top 8 at least, which is crazy to think about. Sometimes your luck just runs out, right? So I hopefully don't be affected by this unlucky moment again and can keep it together and move on. Can I though? That's the question. At least I can make it to the top 16 this time. So let's see if I can keep it together and make a comeback here to get into the top 8. I mean, there are a lot of talented people in this room, and everyone of course wants to advance. I'm not the only person. So unfortunately though, I have no item here. Can I get a draft though to clutch it out last second? Unfortunately, no. I wasn't fast enough. I think the people in front of me probably had more coins or there were too many boosts, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. And I couldn't really catch up. I instead got sent back to 15th place overall by now. We have still 2 rallies more to go, so there is some catch-up potential to do still. We're not out of it yet, but so aren't most of the other people who are really close to my placement. I hopefully can still clutch it up though. We will see. At least, again, top 16 is no problem. We need to stay at least consistent, and especially with those big losses earlier, especially with that 20th place, which is really rough. So let's see if we can keep it together and get up there. I have to say though, it's really fun to play Knockout Tour, and I enjoy my fair bit of Knockout Tour. It's not as good obviously as racing, because racing requires more technical knowledge and feels overall more satisfying to do, but still, some fair share of Knockout Tour is really fun. Unfortunately, I did hit the banana here, and this banana basically costed me the top 8 spots. If I didn't hit that banana, which was incredibly stupid, I could have moved on. And this was totally on me. For now, I'm still in 15th place. And this is the last rally. And as soon as I went into this rally, I already knew I need to get a good spot. And I almost already got knocked out during the first section, which is crazy. And that mainly just because of the feather. Kids, don't use your feathers out of rage or anything if you have no speed. It can be deadly. Either way, I still made my way to the top 16. Here we have a shock, while I'm in 4th place. It shouldn't be too bad though, because we are still in a somewhat comfortable spot still, right? So, can we make it to the top 12? I should need at least a top 4 spot, that's the thing. And as soon as I went into this rally, I was, if I don't get first, I'm probably out. So I wanted to get first place. That was my goal here. Anything else will probably be not enough or might not be enough to get there. and this ending here was really close as well. But we are again in the top 8 after a long time. Seriously, this is the first time since the 7 win streak of getting to the top 8. I held the star for the entire section, by the way, so I didn't have to use it unless I'm getting like really threatened by anything else. Where what I got there because of the boomerang, I got scared and used my star so I don't get hit and guarantee myself to get through there. Unfortunately, the shock happened shortly after, but we don't necessarily need it to dodge that, right? We're still up there, even sneaked a little mushroom there in there. With some food, we can take this little shortcut for first place. Remember, this is the top 4 now, and a blue shell is really unlikely to happen. I have protection and a coin, and this looks really sad, unless I'm doing a major mistake. Though I am doing a stupid mistake right here, releasing my banana for some other protection. I looked back and saw them not having anything. Unfortunately, I was misinformed by that, didn't saw the red shell, and they redded me out right away. This is 100% on me. I also wanted to get a horn just in case there is a blue shell, because there is a slim chance of that happening. It was the wrong play, probably, and I got 3rd place, making me overall get 9th place, being just 2 points off from 8th place. So even something like a 2nd place would have been enough for me to advance to the grand finals. Unfortunately, I threw really hard. The shell also hit me from the top, I'm pretty sure, looking back at the footage. So I don't even know if I held the banana, if I still got hit, or if I actually was able to protect myself. Seriously, I have no clue, but it was still a misplay. However, I still had some fun, and we will definitely see a lot of more Mario Kart World content in the future. So if you're hyped for that as well, leave a like, subscribe, and see you for the next time. Until then, see ya!